According to ancient Islamic texts, a man named Uzair wandered through the ruins of Jerusalem. Overwhelmed by the devastation, he wondered how a city so thoroughly destroyed could ever be restored. Exhausted by the sight, he stopped to rest. When he eventually woke up, he believed he had only slept for a few hours, but the scripture states he had been dead for 100 years. Beside him, his donkey had already decomposed into a pile of bleached bones. Yet right next to those skeletal remains sat the basket of food he had brought for his journey. The figs were plump, the bread was fresh, and his juice hadn't spoiled. You have a basket of fresh fruit sitting inches away from a century-old skeleton. Both were in the same location, exposed to the same environment. Somehow, 100 years passed for the donkey, while only hours passed for the food. This story belongs to a broader collection of anomalies in Islamic scripture. These accounts describe a roasted fish carving a solid tunnel through water, and flocks of birds carrying stones heavy enough to crush an invading army. Traditional historical consensus has always labeled these events as divine magic, moments where a higher power simply chose to suspend the laws of physics to demonstrate its authority. These events operate within a framework that functions outside our three-dimensional experience. Rather than violating the rules of the universe, they may be demonstrating rules we simply cannot yet perceive. Modern theoretical physics, specifically the concept of an 11-dimensional universe, offers the mathematical language to describe how these ancient miracles could occur within the natural order. Albert Einstein's general relativity provides a physical mechanism for food that defies decay for a century. This is the principle of time dilation. Relativity shows that time is a variable influenced by gravity. A massive gravitational field warps the geometry of space, slowing the passage of time for anything within that warp compared to the world outside it. We see this effect on the International Space Station. Because the astronauts are moving at extreme velocities relative to Earth, they age slightly slower than those of us on the ground. If Uzair and his food were positioned inside a highly localized gravitational bubble, time within that field would compress. While 100 years elapsed for the surrounding city, only a few hours would have passed inside the bubble. The fresh figs are not a violation of thermodynamics. They are a demonstration of relativity, where the fruit hasn't rotted because, in its frame of reference, the time required for decay simply hasn't occurred. This same dimensional logic applies to the unseen beings of the texts: jinn, described as entities of smokeless fire, and the ababil, chimera-like birds with lion heads that possessed strength far beyond earthly animals. To understand how these beings could be invisible to us, imagine a two-dimensional world on a flat sheet of paper. If a 3D sphere passes through that paper, the 2D inhabitants only see a shape-shifting circle. They cannot perceive the depth of the sphere, even though it sees their entire world at once. M-theory proposes that our universe actually contains 11 dimensions. In this model, our observable world is a three-dimensional membrane floating within a much larger multi-dimensional space. Beings existing in a higher dimension would possess energy and physical properties that defy our three-dimensional biological laws. They would be able to interact with our reality while remaining entirely invisible to our limited sensory perception. The ancient description of smokeless fire aligns with the theoretical behavior of high-frequency energy from a higher dimension as it intersects with our three-dimensional world. The Qur'an makes a specific claim about the movement of angels, stating they ascend to the heavens in a single day, a journey that would take humans 50,000 years. Even at the absolute speed of light, crossing the vastness of the cosmos takes millions of years. This creates a massive gap between our physical capabilities and the speeds described in the scripture. Theoretical physics offers a shortcut through the geometry of space called an Einstein-Rosen bridge, or a wormhole. This involves folding space until two distant points touch, allowing a traveler to bypass millions of light years through a short tunnel. This describes the mechanics of the Prophet Muhammad's night journey, the Isra and Miraj. The journey began in Mecca and instantaneously traversed the multiple layers of the cosmos, returning him back to Earth in a matter of hours. Crossing 50,000 years of distance in a single night relies on a localized portal that bends the geometry of the universe to bridge two distant realms. In Islam, the concept of Al-Ghayb, or the unseen, is often viewed as a mystical realm, but it can also be viewed as the underlying undiscovered mechanics of the universe. Modern science is currently hunting for hidden dimensions, dark energy, and relativistic shortcuts, realities that are invisible to us but dictate how the entire cosmos functions. While faith and science are often presented as competing narratives, they are both attempts to map a reality that exists far beyond our direct observation. When the mathematical models of higher dimensions are placed alongside these ancient verses, the descriptions of the unseen begin to take a recognizable shape. The parallels between these ancient narratives and modern equations suggest that both are charting the same complex, multidimensional cosmos. Whether through the language of mathematics or revelation, we are looking at a universe with depths we are only just beginning to calculate.